I'm Elex Michaelson. This week, Congress passes trillions of dollars in new spending. How will it impact your life, and what about all the rising prices? With us, Congressman Adam Schiff, here to talk about that, Kevin McCarthy, and more. Plus, former Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs is here to discuss his new book, Universal Basic Income in California, Fatherhood, and Oprah. The Issue Is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, California's only statewide political show. You're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michaelson. If you think that the government should spend a lot of money to solve a lot of problems, this was a big week for you. It started with President Biden signing a bipartisan infrastructure deal that included more than $1 trillion for roads, bridges, ports, broadband, and more. The week ended with this.
The Build Back Better bill is passed.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of San Francisco presiding as Democrats pass a massive spending bill called Build Back Better. The bill costs around $2 trillion and includes all sorts of Democratic priorities. Among them, subsidies for childcare, free pre-K, expanded Medicare, and a lot of money to combat climate change. Let's talk about all of it with Congressman Adam Schiff, who represents Burbank and serves as chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman Schiff, welcome back to The Issue Is. There's been a lot made about the negotiations and the cost, but not a lot of discussion about what's actually in this bill. For your average constituent in California, what does this actually do for their life?
Well, that's the most important thing. And what's in it is universal preschool education, pre-K education, lots of help for parents with childcare so they can find quality, affordable childcare. There's help with rent. There's help with down payments on homes. There's the most substantial investment in green technology and in tackling climate change in our nation's history. For those who had their SALT, their state and local tax deduction taken away by the Trump tax scam, they get a lot of that back in this bill. Seniors get help with hearing aids, and diabetics get help with insulin. It is just a home run that will do immense good for the American people.
Most of those things are widely popular with the American people, according to polls. We know one person who's not a big fan of this bill is House Leader Kevin McCarthy of Bakersfield. He spoke for over 8 hours on the House floor trying to stop this thing from passing. What'd you make of all that? Because you were out there as all this was happening.
I'm not sure what the point of the stunt was. It was a long, rambling, largely incoherent address that was really made him the subject of mockery more than anything else. But what's the point of filibustering early childhood education or speaking for 8 hours against providing help to reduce the cost of prescription drugs? I mean, it seems really quite tone deaf, but it was what it was. And thankfully it's over and the bill passed and we move on to the Senate.
Well, let's talk about the Senate now, because there's been some skepticism from Democrats, Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona. What's the status of the negotiations? Because we know they've been hesitant about the cost.
A lot of the concerns that they raised earlier on have been addressed in the bill that we just passed. There will probably be some things that they still want changes in. And because the Senate is basically a 50-50 body, we need every single Democrat, which makes every Democrat a king. And so they get to call the shots, which is endlessly frustrating, I think, to the vast majority of Democrats in the House and Senate. But the math is the math. And so we'll be working with them to make sure that everything is in a form that they can support.
So what's your message to King Manchin?
My message is this bill will do tremendous good for your constituents and mine. Let's get to yes. Let's get this done.
Meanwhile, the issue that most people are really concerned with these days is the cost of everything going up. Gas prices are higher. Cost of food is higher. There's a lot of stores that don't have a lot of stuff on shelves because of all the supply chain issues. What is your message to voters that are saying Democrats are in charge, everything's getting more expensive on your watch, you're to blame for this, why is this happening? What do you say to them?
Well, I'd say look at what we're doing in Congress to try to attack this problem. We're investing in transportation so we can move goods quicker and ease those supply chain problems. In terms of the labor shortage, which is also driving up the cost of labor, For number one, I'm glad to see wages going up. But number two, a lot of men and women, mostly women, can't return to the workforce because they can't find childcare. And this will help provide childcare. So we'll have more people entering the workforce. We also invest in renewable energy, different energy technologies, so that not everybody's not so dependent on gas. When there are good alternatives to gas, when there are more EV, electric vehicle stations, for example, then it puts downward pressure on gas prices. So these bills are an attempt to address it, but the most immediate things are going to be things the administration can do, like trying to get the ports of Los Angeles working 24/7. And that's still very much a work in progress.
The last time that you were on our show, we talked about your book, Midnight in Washington, and the very next day, it went #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, which I'm sure was from our show. I know you didn't do any other media, so it was all, the issue
Alex,
is boost.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
Your show, let authors out there know, drives books to number one on the New York Times bestseller list.
The same thing happened with Katie Couric the next week, honestly. So,
I'm telling you.
So,
hey, Alex, I'm sure in your line of work, like in mine, you get blamed for things you don't have anything to do with. You might as well take credit for things too.
Might as well. We spoke at a book event recently for a local bookstore where I interviewed you for them, and I got a chance to meet your wife, whose name is Eve. So it really is Adam and Eve. And on this Thanksgiving week, I wondered if you might want to talk about gratitude and what she means to you on this journey.
Well, I tell you, none of this would be possible without her. None of it would be enjoyable without her. It's been an arduous time for the whole country. It's certainly been true for our family. I've experienced a lot of death threats to me, threats to our family members. And she has been as solid as a rock through all of this. So I definitely married up, Alex. I've done good. And I'm just so lucky to have such a wonderful wife, wonderful kids, and feel very blessed.
A lot to be thankful for on this Thanksgiving week. Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you so much for all the appearances here on The Issue Is, and congrats on the book success.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Up next, former Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs on his new book, just endorsed by Oprah. But as we go to break, the Above Los Angeles Instagram account takes us above Manhattan Beach for a spectacular sunset.
No one needs inspiration to break the cycle of poverty. Are you kidding me? What they need is to be empowered.
That was a very young Michael Tubbs giving a TED Talk back in 2012. He'd go on to become the youngest mayor of a major city in American history when Stockton elected him back in 2016. His improbable and inspiring journey is detailed in a new book, The Deeper the Roots, which is out this week, just in time for the holidays. Michael Tubbs, welcome back to The Issue Is. Congratulations on the new book. I read every page of it, and it is great.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time writing every page of it, so I appreciate you reading all of them.
Well, in a lot of ways, it's a love letter to your moms. You say you have 3 moms, sort of reminiscent of Hillary Clinton's "It takes a village to raise a child." Talk about the sort of the tough situation you started out with and the importance of those 3 women in changing your life.
Yeah, so my mother, she was single. She was 16 when she was pregnant with me. My father was incarcerated and then has been incarcerated for the vast majority of the 31 years I've been alive. And part of the reason why I'm talking to you today as an author, as a former mayor, is because I had my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, who all worked incredibly hard to instill in me the values of hard work, of determination, of service, and of excellence, and also who really always showed up to advocate for me when I was being kicked out of class for no reason, or whenever I needed someone to be there for me. They were always there and really instilled in me the belief that I was somebody, that I mattered, and that our circumstances weren't my fault, and that our circumstances weren't my destiny, but that there was something greater for me, and they did everything they could, and they sacrificed so much to make sure that I got there.
And as you mentioned, your dad went to prison pretty early on. How do you think that shaped you as a man, your vision of masculinity?
Yeah, I think growing up sort of with a father not there, but particularly a father in prison, sort of made me really think about what did it mean to be a man. and having these amazing models of parenting and leadership from my mothers, but still really trying to figure out what it meant to be a man. And I found a lot of those answers in books. So a lot of the books I read were memoirs written by sort of men who wrote about the transitions from adolescence to adulthood, and through kind of their stories and through their recollections, I found some advice that I guess one's father would give them. And then also in the church and through sports and playing basketball, I also met coaches and mentors and pastors who also did step in and fill in that void. But for me, I think my view of masculinity has always been sort of driven by not having a father in the home. And I think that view is one that's primarily centered on the idea of being present, that to be a man means to be present and able to help your loved ones, help your friends, help your families, help your community.
And one of the most moving parts of the book, I think, is when you write about visiting your dad in prison, and he said his goal now is to make you as proud of him as he is of you, which I thought was very, very profound. You've had some really incredible mentors over the years. Valerie Jarrett, President Obama's top advisor, encouraged you to intern at the White House. Oprah Winfrey wrote you a check to run for the city council. There she is. Marion Wright Edelman, you consider a role model. So what do you think we all can learn? Because if only we all could be blessed with those kind of mentors, but just about mentorship from this book.
I think there's so much discussion about this idea of Black girl magic. And I think in this book, we see what's magical about these Black women is that they're able to see what can be unburdened by what is. And they all sort of agreed to mentor me, invest in me, and support me before I was anybody, before I was Michael Tubbs, basic income, Michael Tubbs, youngest mayor. I met Mary Wright Elderman when I was 19 years old, college freshman. And she saw something in me then and had mentored me from then till now and provided one of the blurbs for the book. Valerie Jarrett, I met her as a 20-year-old college sophomore. And she said, come intern in the White House, and has been a confidant, sounding board, and mentor since then till now, before I even knew I was running for elected office. And even Oprah Winfrey, who published this book, I met as a college senior. I had just announced I was running for city council. It wasn't even looking like I was going to win. And she was the third person to write me a check. And as sort of 10 years later appears and say, you know what, let's publish this memoir, let's get this story out in the world. So I think it really goes to show you that mentorship at its best is not about picking winners, it's about making winners. It's about finding young people to invest in and helping cultivate them and help them unleash their potential, regardless of where they start from.
And you talk about these experiences with these women. You were going to Stanford. You end up interning at the White House, as we mentioned. And then you got a call while you were at the White House that your cousin had been shot and killed back in Stockton. And you make this untraditional decision to head home, run for city council at age 21. Did most of your classmates at Stanford think you were crazy?
They still think I'm crazy. My mentors thought I was crazy. My classmates thought I was crazy. But to their credit, once they realized I was not going to change my mind, they all helped out. They all donated. And Stockton at that time had been ranked the most miserable city in the country, had more murders per capita than Chicago, was the largest city to declare bankruptcy. So a lot of my mentors were saying, you don't go where things are the worst. You don't go where you can't have any win. You go somewhere a little bit easier first, and then maybe you move on to do hard things. So everyone thought I was insane.
Yeah, but then you end up getting elected to the city council based off of a lot of their help. You end up getting elected mayor on the same night that Donald Trump was elected president. And then as mayor, you started a guaranteed basic income project, which was the first major city to have a mayor that did this. Got a lot of national attention at the time. Now, a lot of other mayors are doing this around California. And California is actually doing something as a state. We want to put this up on the screen. Earlier this year, Governor Newsom announced a $35 million pilot program to experiment with guaranteed basic income in California. He's asked you to help oversee all of this. So how's it going?
Yeah, well, luckily I'm the ideas guy. So it was my idea to make sure we put $35 million in the budget. Our Department of Human Services is actually overseeing the program. So I've been working with them and meeting with them. They're creating a stakeholder group, and pretty soon the RFP should be on the streets where cities and counties will be able to apply for funds to add to their own existing guaranteed income programs. So I'm incredibly excited about the work and the way California continues to lead the way.
And you are also busy. You're launching an anti-poverty campaign. You call it EPIC, which is End Poverty in California. How is that going, and what's the plan there?
Yeah, so it's launching next year, and the idea is what you've discussed many times on this show, the fact that California is the golden state, a progressive state. Democrats have all the levers of governance, and yet we lead the nation in poverty. So the idea is to really gather all the things that make California great, from our great political leadership to our entertainment industry, to kind of Silicon Valley and the innovation that comes there, and to most importantly, the people, to really elevate the issue of poverty as the most important political issue in California, and then figure out what we can do at a policy level to solve it. So we're kicking off in earnest next year. And I mean, it's going to be a mix of public art and consciousness raising, a mix of storytelling, a mix of policy, a mix of advocacy, a mix of hard conversations about what type of state we want to be. And in doing so, the hope is that in the next several years, we continue to model for the nation. How do you make sure that the economy works for the many and not the few, and that everyone stands to benefit when such massive wealth is created?
Yeah, and it's something that Governor Newsom has talked about, that solving poverty is his number one goal ultimately as governor, and the reason he wanted to become the governor in the first place.
Well, that's what brought me to work with the governor,
right.
Is that I was considering working at the White House, and he was like, Tubbs, you know, poverty's my jam. Like, let's work together. Like, let's do something. Pretty much. You know how the governor talks. Like, poverty's my, like, I want to end poverty. I want that to be part of my legacy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, up next, we want to talk to you about fatherhood and gratitude on this Thanksgiving week. But as we go to break, I want to get a quick hit from you. I know that Stockton will always be home, but you're now living here in LA. So biggest story of the week. What do you make of Staples Center being renamed to Crypto.com Arena starting on Christmas?
It's not my favorite name, and I'm still trying to understand what crypto is and if it's a thing or not. So I would prefer Staples Center, and I'll probably continue to call it Staples Center.
Yeah, well, the $700 million from crypto people, maybe they can help in your poverty campaign, because clearly they got some extra cash going.
That's what I'm saying.
Now.
Help me understand what it is, and then help me in poverty. Please.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to go to break with I Love LA as a nod to Staples Center. We take you above Staples Center from the Above Los Angeles account. More with Michael Tubbs, who loves LA and Stockton, when we come back. We are back with Michael Tubbs, former mayor of Stockton and the author of the new book, Deeper the Roots. Now, this week, I read the book. I posted about it on Instagram, which I was grateful that you shared out. So here's that post. And then I saw the very next post that you shared out, and it's from Oprah with a very similar picture. I think a few people more may have seen Oprah's page compared to mine, maybe just a few. So what does Oprah's support mean to you? That's pretty cool, huh?
It's incredibly humbling. Just given she is the maven of storytelling and the maven of sort of things are worth reading and considering and grappling with.
You say she's the greatest storyteller. What did she teach you about storytelling?
What she really taught me was this idea that sort of your story matters, that owning the truth of your experience and using that not as a moat, but as a bridge to other experiences is the most powerful way to connect. And it's a mechanism you can use to change the world. It's remarkable because most people want to just take all the attention for themselves. Mm-hmm. And she does a great job of making it like, no, this is interesting. And this is interesting, and really helps us understand what it means to be human in many respects.
Yeah, and she's saying that this is interesting, which is quite an endorsement. So since we last talked, you and your wife had a new baby. Congratulations. You now have a boy and a girl. And on this Thanksgiving week, what does gratitude and family mean to you? Because that's really what Thanksgiving's all about.
I mean, family means everything to me. From the people who raised me to the family I'm building with my amazing wife, Anna, and look at my son, like Michael Malachi, just adorable, and our daughter, Nehemiah. They just really give me hope for the future. And I think it just means sort of love and warmth and hope for the future. And gratitude is also very tantamount and paramount to me. I try always to be incredibly thankful for the blessings and also for some of the difficult things, because they all are working towards making me the person I'm becoming. So I think this Thanksgiving, even though it's been tough, I mean, we've been in the pandemic for 2 years. Prices for everything are going up. People are stressed and anxious. And despite all that, we have a lot to be thankful for. And namely the fact that we have family, that we have folks who are with us through good times and hard times.
Well, when we come back, a note from me about Thanksgiving. But first, Michael Tubbs, as we say goodbye to you, we want to play your favorite musical artist, J. Cole, and a chance to jam out, which I'm sure you're thankful for. Michael Tubbs, thanks for being with us.
Always thankful for J. Cole.
All right, hit it.
But lately I've been questioning, second guessing whether or not I've got something to offer since I done eluded poverty. Or has the money watered me down? That truth is hard for me. Like the second time I got cut from the junior varsity.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
President Biden pardons the turkeys named Peanut Butter and Jelly at the White House this week. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year because it's a chance to show gratitude to the people I love. So first off, thank you for watching and giving us the chance to put on this show every week. This would literally not be possible without the support of our station's management, and I literally would not be here without my family at home and my family here at work. So we end this week with the faces of our behind-the-scenes heroes. We wish them and you a very happy Thanksgiving. See you next week.